it's Tuesday. Tansei, oki, bonjour everybody. Hello and welcome to another fabulous, fabulous Tuesday. I'm glad that there was sunshine today. I was totally absorbing my vitamin D. It was just wonderful to be outside, even though for the most part I was driving around trying to get everything together for a workshop tomorrow. And it's crazy how a lot of different places in the city are completely out of sunflowers. I'm like, I just want sunflowers. But okay, everybody. Tansei Bunzu. I am Chantal Chagnon. I am Cree, Anishinaabe, and Métis from Muskeg Lake Cree Nation, which is in Saskatchewan, which is in Treaty 6 territory. But again, I always like to begin every session, every event, every opportunity to learn and opportunity to teach, just by acknowledging the land upon which we stand, because if you don't know where you are, then, how do you know where you're going? So, I live here in Calgary, which is better known as Mohenstis. It is also home of the Treaty 7 people, home of the Blackfoot, of Siksika, Kainai, and Piikani. And I honor those nations so much. I'm learning so much from wonderful elders. In fact, the Métis sash that I'm wearing today is actually, it was gifted to me from one of my elders from Siksika, and I'm so, so thankful and humbled. And I love it so much. I was glad that, I was moving things around and I couldn't figure out where I put it, but it was in with my sash weaving stuff, which of course makes sense. Of course it would be with my Métis sash weaving stuff. But, yeah, I love it so much. And I find that when I wear it, it reminds me of that connection to community that we have. And that I have not only to my community back home, not only to the community within me, but also to the bigger community, like the Blackfoot community and the elders that have taught me so much. And I think it's really important to just humble yourself and really be thankful for the things that you have in your life and the people that you've met and the learnings that you've had. Is just such a gift. And so I honor, of course, Siksika, Kainai, and Piikani for all of the teachings of those elders, my wonderful friends, and family through marriage that I have on some of those reserves. So it's a very, it's a beautiful gift to be able to share any knowledge that I have been gifted from those nations. I also honor the Tsutsuna. I feel bad because I actually haven't been out to the beautiful Costco yet. I'm sure I'll get there. Yes, I need to do a Costco run pretty soon. Maybe on the weekend. We'll see. We'll see. I also wanted to acknowledge the Estonian Nakota. So they are from Morley, which includes Chickadee, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. And also Eden Valley's in there as well. But I love driving out there. There's something really just genuine about connecting to the mountains, about connecting to the clean air, about seeing, the valleys and hills behind you, knowing that, the river's running through there. There's a strength, there's a power there. Whenever I go to ceremony out there, I just feel so humbled and I feel so, home. It does. This whole area, it's really felt like home to me. And even when I go back home to my reserve and I'm spending time with friends and family, and it's lovely, but I don't know, there's something really special about being here in Mohenstis. And this is a place that, we've developed so many wonderful friendships, and there's a sense of community and camaraderie, and I've been able to share in such a beautiful way, and it's just a gift, and I'm so, so thankful. And I've been thinking a lot about gratitude and how important it is. And so I wanted to just begin today by sharing the Cree welcome song. So traditionally when we sing songs, we sing in rounds of 4 to honor the 4 directions of the medicine wheel. But this song is a little bit different. We actually sing it in rounds of 3, and that's to keep the circle open and welcoming so everyone completes the circle today. Because in a circle, we're all connected. There's no beginning, there's no end. No one is greater or less than anyone else in the circle, just like in the hoop of life. So it teaches us to honor each other for those differences, because if everybody was exactly the same, the world would be incredibly boring, of course, and nothing would ever get done. So we need all of those people in the circle. We need all of those beautiful gifts that everyone brings forward, and sometimes it's important to recognize and realize you're not going to agree with everyone 100% of the time, but it's those moments that you can come together and find those compromises. That's truly what makes the community resilient, and it's what makes our circle strong. And I think this is something we really need to honor about you know, those teachings, and knowing that, you know, we are all together in this, you know, even if we're like fundamentally really different, we still share the same air, we still share the same planet, and so we have to start coming together, and stop being so divisive. So this song brings people together. It's really about honoring that connection that we have to each other, and knowing, you know, we all have the same mother, which is Mother Earth. We all have, you know, share the sacred breath with all creatures. We always say all my relations, but this song really just honors that. And I want to thank the Nataha family for bringing this song forward, for being able to share it in such a beautiful way. They're from the Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation, and it's in Alberta, but it's also in Saskatchewan. There's part of it in either. And I actually drove through. I'd like to actually stop by and visit with members of the Nataha family, just to thank them for the profound impact that this song has had in my life. And so Mia Sin, which is the Cree welcome song, it doesn't just mean welcome, it also means beautiful. Let's stand up to sing. Mia Sin, Mia Sin, ha semina, ha semina, e peta kute, ni wagomaga, hota, homa, kitaskino, mia sin, mia sen, ha semina, ha semina, e petakote, ni wagomagan, hota, homa, kitaskino, mia sin, mia sen, ha semina, ha semina, e petakote, ni wagomagan, hota, homa, kitaskino. Hi, and welcome to the circle tonight, everyone. So, I'm a little just bit disappointed. So tonight they were doing a full moon ceremony, and I was like, oh, I wish I could be there. Well, at least online. Online is kind of different. But also I had a little bit of a challenging week. So today I'm actually going to do a 4-direction smudge. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the medicines that I'm going to be putting together. And because I think it's really important to honor that, you know, the teachings of the medicine. And usually I only smudge with sage, which I was just gifted a whole bunch of sage, so I'm very, very thankful for, because I was just about out. I had like a little bit left, and I was also into tobacco, and I was very thankful for that. But yeah, when we do a 4-direction smudge, we don't do it very often. I mean, I don't do it very often. Usually it's only when you really, really, really need that healing or that guidance, or maybe you just need a refresher or a renew. And so this, being so close to the full moon, I'm feeling kind of that weight right before you come into springtime, you know, that weight of everything thawing out and everything starting to grow. And you're like, okay, what did I grow over the winter? And so sometimes that pressure that builds on you, but it's also a sense of excitement for the year ahead. And it's springtime, so changes happen in springtime, which would be, which is quite fitting, because now I have to find a new place to live. But I'm sure it'll be great. And they love the paint color, so I don't have to paint anything before I leave, so that's good. But yeah, it's just been a challenging few weeks. So before I get started with smudging, I just want to honor all of the medicines that I have laid out here. I wanted to, of course, honor the sweetgrass. When I share my teachings, again, these are only my teachings. No, I'm OG Cree, so of course I have those teachings that I carry with me. And it's not about right or wrong, it's just different. So you find the teachings that resonate with you, that work for you, that you need in your own life, because nobody can tell you what path you're going to walk. You've got to figure that out for yourself. And so, of course, I have sweetgrass. In my tradition, sweetgrass is the mind. It's our connection to the east. It's grandfather's sun, so it's our connection to fire. And it really just helps with clarity, with new beginnings, which is exactly where I'm at right now. And so I honor the sweetgrass. I honor that masculine medicine. I honor those new beginnings. I honor the children's medicine in the east as well. Yeah, and then we're going to move forward. The next medicine that we have is cedar. Ooh, cedar is beautiful. I love cedar. Cedar is the body medicine. It teaches us about honoring that transition time between adulthood and childhood, about honoring the path that we need to find for ourselves, and really carving that path out. Sometimes it's hard to find that path if you're not given that opportunity when you're young. And then, of course, you have a midlife crisis, then you figure it out later on. And I'd known since I was quite small what my path was, but then I would doubt it, and then I would veer off course. But the cedar reminds us that no matter how far off course we go, we still are the same at the core. So if we look really closely at the cedar, it almost looks like little scales, but they look a lot to me like a braid. So it reminds us of, how our ancestors are always growing with us. And so, yeah, that's a cedar. It's beautiful. It's a great body medicine. It's really good about this time of year, so I get really bad allergies. So I've been boiling it and having it in tea once a week, or whenever my allergies start to get really, really bad. Usually around the time lilacs start to bloom, that's when my son's allergy gets really bad. So we're going to be having a lot of cedar tea in a few weeks. The next medicine here, which I'm so thankful to have been gifted, is, of course, sage. Sage being the women's medicine. It's connected to water, it's connected to our emotions, it's connected to our adulthood, unconditional love, and sacrifice. And so that can be things like, gifting to your community without expecting anything in return. But also things like gifting your time. And, there's so many different things that we can, feel grateful for. And I think it's really important to honor that. And sage helps us to do that, but it also helps us to honor ourselves and remind ourselves that just like a cup, if, you dump it out, you gotta refill it or else it's gonna be empty. Oh, that water's nice and cold. I like it. But yeah, so it reminds us to you can give, but remember to accept too. And I think it's really, really difficult, especially for people who are healers or teachers or gift a lot to their community, to remember to accept that help in return, to accept those gifts in return. And I still to this day have a really hard time accepting gifts or praise. When someone says, "You're amazing," I'm like, thanks. I'm really weird about it. But sage helps us to remember that everything is in a cycle. The water is in a cycle, the earth is in a cycle, the air is in a cycle, everything is in a cycle, life is in a cycle, and we have to remember to accept, even though we give a lot. And so this is that reminder. And then the last medicine that we have is tobacco. I'm actually going to use some tobacco that I was gifted a little while ago to be able to bring in. And tobacco, of course, is our connection to spirit. It's our connection to the air, to that sacred breath that we all share, which is so important. It's that connection to the things that we can't necessarily see, but it also is our connection to our elders, and just that knowledge, that wisdom that our ancestors have left for us, and that we will be leaving for our future generations. And so people think of it like, oh, it's an end of a cycle, but it's not. It's just a continuation. It always continues. And so I'm very humbled and thankful anytime somebody gives me tobacco, just because it shows that, it's a gift from their spirit to my spirit. It's saying that I'm on the right path, and this is why I'm receiving tobacco, and I'm very thankful for that. And so we have tobacco. And then we also have Kansasa, which is red willow bark, which is that other medicine that if we're going to be having a Four Directions tea, or if we're having a Four Directions pipe ceremony where we actually have to breathe in the pipe, because we don't breathe in the pipe when, at least in my teachings, we don't bring in the pipe. If it has tobacco in it, we never take a breath of it. We smudge with it, we puff on it, and we blow it down our bodies or blow it in our hands, but we never breathe it in because it's too sacred of a medicine. But if we're using Kansasa or red willow bark in it, then yes, we can, because it's actually meant for us. And I have a bunch that I picked, and so I have to start grinding it up, and I'm gonna bring some to my mom because she's having some problems with migraines. So I'm gonna go bring her some, because this is what I use for my migraines, and I actually haven't had a migraine in over a decade, so I swear by it. So it's an anti-inflammatory. So before we get started, first of all, I'm going to take my earrings off, because you don't want to smudge with anything that you weren't really born with, other than your clothes, of course, because I'm not going to get naked. But metal also holds energy, and you don't want to hold on to that energy. You're trying to get rid of those things. Whoops. All right. I'm just making sure. It looks like nobody's watching today, so that's okay. Awesome. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just pulling off some sage here. And this is how I do my Four Directions smudge, so that I honor every direction around me. I honor the earth, I honor the sky, I honor the water, and I also honor fire. Kind of draws everything together. Oops. Awesome. And now what I'm going to do to make it a Four Directions smudge is I'm actually going to just take a little piece of every medicine. This is how I take my sweetgrass. And I'm going to put it in that little pile of sage. And then I'm going to just mush up my lovely, oh, I just shot that across the room. My lovely cedar. And I'm going to just put that, of course, in that middle of that pile. Just a little bit. It's really beautiful for grounding. And then I'm going to take a little pinch of the tobacco in this beautiful container. And then I'm just going to sprinkle it in that pile of leaves with those other medicines. Good. And then when you're all done, I just put my finger down, and I just wrap those medicines all together with the sage on the outside. And then, so that's the Cree crunch. We just crunch it all together. This is the Blackfoot roll, when you roll it in your hands. And then I'm going to put those medicines into the bowl. Awesome. And so that is a Four Directions smudge. So other people will use like charcoal to do that, and just because it will burn a little bit more evenly. I just prefer to use the sage. So that's just me. Everybody has different ways of doing things. Not right or wrong, just different. Alright. If you do have medicines, please feel free to smudge along at home. If you can actually get your matches to light, unlike me. Oh, there we go. Awesome. Light the edge here. So I'm going to just fan it with my hand. Again, I never blow on it because my breath is my life, and my life is precious. And I don't waste that for anyone. And so, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wash my hands in it. Again, no right or wrong way to smudge. It's whatever feels good to you. So you bring the smoke in the way that you need to cleanse, that you need to heal, that you need to accept those teachings. And so I'm going to smudge my hands, clean everything that I need later. I compare it to having a shower or a bath for your body, but it's having a shower or a bath for your spirit. I bring it over my body 4 times. Maybe an extra for good measure. I'm going to smudge my mind so I can think clearly and learn from every person who crosses my path. So I can be open-minded and learn. I'm going to smudge my ears So I'm open to hear all of the messages that Creator sends me. So I also remember that I have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so I can listen twice as much as I speak, but also to be thankful for my hearing. I smudge my eyes so I can see clearly and see beauty in everything that crosses my path, so I can remind myself that not everything can be seen, but to have the strength and the wisdom to be able to see those things that are unseen. So my vision may be clear, and to give thanks for my vision as well. I smudge my nose. I usually say so I can smell danger in cookies, but I was teaching last week and someone said smell nature, and I'm like, yes, I can definitely smell a lot of nature. So I can smell nature, danger, and cookies. I'm going to smudge my mouth so I can speak true, kind, and respectful words. I always ask myself, is it truthful? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Is it respectful? If none of those things, don't say it, don't do it, because it's not worth it. I'm going to smudge my throat because I'm very thankful for my voice this lifetime, because I continue to give voice to the voiceless. And I'm very thankful for my singing voice this lifetime. Oops. I'm going to smudge my lungs so I breathe good, clean air. And honor that sacred breath within me. I'm going to smudge my heart so I can remember to be kind and compassionate and show unconditional love to my friends, to my family, to strangers, but also to myself. I think sometimes we're pretty hard on ourselves. I'm going to smudge my stomach so all of the food that I eat this day will nourish my body. I'll smudge my womanhood because I'm very thankful to be a woman and a mother in this time. Even though I am a two-spirit woman and I do lead both masculine and feminine ceremonies, my gift this lifetime was to have my children. And I honor the body that I'm in. I'm going to smudge my arms and my hands so I could do the good work that Creator's put me here to do. Smudge my shoulders and my back so I can carry all of the responsibilities that Creator's gifted me with grace and humility. Smudge my legs so I walk this red road in a good way. The red road is that path of Aboriginal spirituality. And then I'm going to smudge my feet so I stay grounded and connected to Mother Earth, treading lightly upon her and honoring her with every step. And then if there's anywhere in your being that you need a little extra love, so I definitely need a little extra love in my back today. And also in my hips, because of course, all the surgeries. Oops. And I'm also going to send some love to my kids, to my mom, because I got to see her today, which was nice, to my brother. And also, there's been a few people that have been on my heart and in my mind, so I'm going to send that love to them and that appreciation to them. And then when you're all done, you say hi, or magwitch, or merci, or grazie, or shie, or dankeschön, or however you say thank you in your language. Your language is important. Remember it. Even if you only learn a few words, they're part of you. And so, yeah, I'm actually going to share the 4 Directions song, which is also known as the Cherokee morning song, which makes sense because the sun rises and it travels in the directions. But this song I learned it actually online, but then I sent a message because I'd actually learned it from a person, and then she's like, go learn it properly online, because she's like, I'm a terrible teacher. I'm like, okay. So I went and I learned it properly online. But I'm really thankful to Robbie Robertson and Ulali for capturing not only that song, but there's been several beautiful, beautiful songs that a lot of Indigenous artists have shared and have shared openly. And I think that's really important to acknowledge that there are songs out there that are shared openly, and it's not about ownership. It's about honoring that connection that we have to each other and honoring the teachings that come with those songs. Because if you're just singing them for the sake of singing them, but you don't understand the teachings behind them, well, you only have half the story. And so this song, to me, I can hear the winds in it. It's the Four Winds song to me. So I hear, that beginning in the east with that gentle wind, and then, starting to pick up in the south with that strong wind, of all of that plant growth and, that transition and that change, and then that gentle wind again in that in the west for that women's medicine, to honor the moon, to honor our heart medicine, and then just tapering off in the north to honor that spirit that connects each and every one of us, to connect with the air and connect with our elders and our ancestors, and then when it tapers off, it's like that wind, and how it just continues to blow, but you feel like it's drifting away from you. And I love that presence of this song, and so I'm going to share that song. This song is also known as Wendeaho. Oops. So, the Ancestral bird song has really been on my mind a lot lately. Oh, I have sweetgrass in my water. That's okay, it just means I'll sleep tonight. It's really good for insomnia. So, yeah, this song came kind of through me as I was working with an amazing local artist, Audrey Lane, and she did just this phenomenal project when she was like collaborating with all of these wonderful artists, Indigenous artists, as well as poets, and it was just an incredible collaboration of all of these people to create these little vignettes, these little pieces to really honor the strength and the spirit of the weasel head. And so this song, we were sitting together and it was cold, but it was just so stark how beautiful all of the birds were sounding. And then we sat together, of course, in the springtime and summertime as well. And the one thing that you continue to notice is the sound of the birds and how they speak with each other and how they talk to each other and how they honor each other's voices. With me, I'm always particularly drawn to the blue jay, because the blue jay, she just has this presence and she can mimic almost every other bird call there is, but she warns the community. She warns the bird community if there's a predator coming, or if there's a cat on the loose, if there's people coming, but also just her voice rings true through everyone. And so it's a gift to be able to share this song. And in particular, I was thinking of the blue jay, but I can hear the voices of all of the other songs when I share it. So this is the Ancestral bird song, or the blue jay song, as I call it. We I'm really excited because I get to make seed bombs tomorrow with kids, so and talk about the three sisters, which this time of year it's really important to be able to establish the stories of those plants and be able to share them and be like, this is why it was so important and this is why we would grow things the way that we did. As we're watching the land kind of being depleted from the way that we grow things now, sometimes dialing it back and seeing, you know, what used to work and why it used to work and understanding the science behind it, I think it's really powerful, because you're empowering those kids to make better decisions for future generations. And so, yeah, it's just a very beautiful gift, and to be able to share those things, but also to be able to kind of heal those wounds from the past, by sharing with a whole new generation. And so that being said, I wanted to share the healing song. It's also called the crying song or the wailing song, and in it you can hear the tears. This song was, for the longest time, a ceremony song. It's still a ceremony song. We still use it in ceremony. But this song was shared by several different elders. So, and some of them were just very adamant that it needed to be shared, that we're at a time of transition, that we need to come together as a community, as all of our relations, to be able to heal together, to be able to not only recognize and understand that past, but don't stay there, don't dwell there, because we can only move forward, and the easiest way to move forward is by connection and healing. And so, yeah, this is the healing song. We sing it, of course, in rounds of 4. We do it as that heartbeat, that drum beat, and that's that healing beat, or that women's beat, or that honor beat. And it is also a ceremony beat, because it is that heartbeat of Mother Earth that's within each and every one of us, that pulse that Mother Earth has. Even if we watch the way that plants develop, they pulse up. And so this is what this song really honors, is that pulse that connects each and every one of us. And so this is the healing song. The third round, I stopped drumming, but in that round, it's an offer for you to, you know, ask for the things that you need in your life, ask for the healing that you need in your life, pray for the people that you want to send that love and appreciation and healing to. Maybe they're having a hard time, maybe you haven't spoken in a while, maybe you want to repair those relationships. You can even pray for your pets and let miracles have happened with this song, and it's a gift to be able to share. So this is the Cree healing song, also known as the crying song or the wailing song. Sorry, I got a little choked up there. So I'm going to share the Chickadee Song now, since I am working with kids tomorrow, and I get to do it outside, which is amazing. But the chickadee just always reminds me of children. And so the story of the chickadee is actually kind of dark, so I'm going to share the story before I share the Chickadee Song. So the Chickadee Song that I created was, it came to me in ceremony. I was asking for a song, and the lodge was always surrounded by all of these wonderful chickadees, and that day in particular, and the third round was really hot, so everybody kind of left, and I love hot sweat, so I was just sitting there just basking in the warmth, and these little chickadees started kind of like popping in and out of the door of the lodge, and I'm like looking at them, they're looking at me, and they're like, and I was like, oh, okay, song. But what I really notice about chickadees is just how present they are. They listen to each other. You know, you'll hear a chickadee dee 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 dee, and you'll hear a little pause before the other one's like cheeseburger. So they actually have those conversations, and they remind us in our own lives we have to just stop. We have to slow down. We have to listen and respond appropriately. Because how many times are we thinking of what we're gonna say before that person's even done speaking, just so we can kind of interject. And sometimes it's more important to just be present. And the chickadee teaches us that. It teaches us to really be mindful and listen to each other so that we can actually build relationships, because that's what the foundation of relationships is listening and respect and honoring each other. And so and that's really what this song is about to me. So the story behind it, which is a little dark, so a long time ago, there was a man, and he was hunting with his wife, and together they were on their land with their 3 children, and so they had 2 boys and a girl. And as they were walking around, they were noticing just an abundance of game, and the hunter and the woman were approached by this huge bear. And normally bears are like, they're an omen. They have different things to teach us. And the bear warned them. He said, yes, there is an abundance of game this year, but don't take more than what you need, or something will happen. You're going to upset the balance, and you're going to have to pay in other ways. And they were like, okay, bear, we'll be careful. We know better than to take more than our share or more than what we need. But they were just amazed at how much beauty and how many animals and how much abundance there was in hunting this year. They had never seen this much abundance. And so they lost track of the amount of animals that they were taking with them and the amount of game that they had caught, until finally they got back to their camp with another load of animals, and they realized, whoa, wait a second, we have way too much. We're going to have to make 2 trips to be able to get home. And so they spoke with their children, and they said, okay, the first trip we're going to have to load all of, well, not all, but about half of what we have, maybe a little bit more, but we'll be back. But his wife warned them, well, children, okay, when we're gone, you have to be really careful of the sun and the moon, because when the children are unattended, strange things tend to happen. And so the mom explained, when you're outside, watch the sun, because as soon as your shadow disappears, you might disappear too. So close to noon, close to lunchtime, just run into the teepee, enjoy your lunch, and just wait until the sun has moved on, has moved forward, and our shadows come back. And you can always tell by the tree just outside the lodge. And then they said, okay, Mom. And then she told her daughter as well, at night, the moon likes to play tricks. And so when your shadow gets high, or when your shadow starts to disappear under the moonlight, that's when you need to get back to bed. You should already be in bed. I don't know why you would be awake. But just be aware, don't go outside when the moon is at its highest, because, crazy things can happen. And so the mom kissed her children goodbye, and she was really, really worried about them. But, her husband was like, no, don't worry. They've been, on their own before. But she knew it was a 4-day journey, 2 days there, 2 days back. And she said, okay, I'll help you with these, but we have to rush back as quick as we can. But she knew there was no way they could do it outside of 4 days. And so she was really worried, but she left with her husband and all of those beautiful animals, the hides, the pelts, everything. And they, of course, left some dried meat for their kids, and some berries and other things for them to snack on while their parents were gone. And so the first day, of course, the kids were just, running around, goofing around. Sometimes they lost a little bit of track of time. And then the eldest brother looked down and said, oh, our shadows are disappearing. We should go and have some lunch. And so their shadows started to disappear, but they made it to the teepee in time, and they started eating. And they were joking around how it was probably their parents playing tricks on them. So they probably, they would probably be fine even if the sun was at its highest. And then they went out to play, and it was getting really late, and the moon started coming up and the sun started setting, and it started to get darker and darker, and the moon started to get higher and higher, and it almost reached the highest point in the sky. And then they were like, oh no, we should probably go to bed. And so they ran into their teepee as quickly as they could, avoiding the highest point of the moon. And of course, a girl who liked to be, she was very, very adventurous, and far more adventurous than her brothers. She always had her favorite hiding spot. She had, the favorite places she loved to go and to explore. And her brothers always had to go and wander off and find her. But for the most part, they always found her. And she was like, I bet you at night nothing happens. And so she was really pushing and challenging it. But that night they went to sleep. They woke up the next day, and of course it started to get high noon again. They were just playing, having a good time, playing hide and go seek, always looking for their sisters. They always found her, but then they noticed their shadows were starting to disappear, so they ran as quickly as they could back to the lodge, ate a wonderful meal, and they said, you know what, Mom was probably just joking to make sure that we ate, so I'm sure everything will be fine. And they really wanted to push it the next day. They said, no, well, maybe tomorrow we'll try and stay out in the sun. And that night, of course, they were playing until really, really late. But they went in, because they were really exhausted from playing, they went in a little earlier. And after her brothers had fallen asleep, well, the sister, who was very adventurous and very, curious, she went out to see what would happen if she was caught by the moon. And so she wandered, and she was dancing in the shadows and the moonlight. And then something strange happened. She watched as her shadow changed. It shifted. And then she knew she wasn't the same. She could feel herself lighter than air, but she couldn't hear herself move anymore. And she knew something very, very wrong had happened. She could feel herself flapping her arms to try and hear the sound of her body, and she ended up in a tree. And as she looked down, she saw feathers and knew her mother was right. The next day when her brothers woke up in the morning, they couldn't find their sister anywhere. They thought, well, maybe she's just playing a trick on us. So as they were looking around trying to find her, no matter where they went, they couldn't see her, they couldn't find her. And then they thought, well, we have to be able to find her somewhere. So they went further and further and further out, not even paying attention to the sun in the sky. And as they looked down at their shadows, they realized their shadows were almost gone. They tried to run home as quickly as, or to the teepee as quickly as they could, but by the time they got there, their shadows were gone. And they looked, and they couldn't find their shadows anywhere. They couldn't find spots under them. And as they looked down at themselves, they were coated in feathers. And they started to flap wildly, but it was already too late. The damage was done. Their mom was right. And so on the fourth day, the man and his wife got back, and the mother was frantically looking all over for her children and knew something awful had happened to them. The only thing left behind was where the meat and the berries had been stored, and these two little tiny birds that the mom and dad had never seen before were pecking at the meat, and they were pecking at the berries. But as she got closer and she looked into the faces of the birds, she saw the black cap, the black hair, like her children wore, and she knew that was them. She put out her hand and they jumped in, looking ever so sorry, but she knew there was nothing that she could do. And so, together, they went to look for their sister. But of course the boys couldn't talk. So they would call out, Chickadee, and wait and listen for their sister's voice, but they couldn't hear it. And then the other brother would call out, Wee-haw, but they couldn't hear it. And then after she had put her little birds to bed, the mother went wandering, trying to find her daughter. And when she got back to the camp, she heard a hoo-hoo, hoo-hoo. As she looked up in the tree, she saw a beautiful snowy owl, and all of the spots looked just like the freckles on her daughter, and she knew that that was her daughter. She cried for her children, but she knew that they learned their lesson, and they knew that these birds would protect children for the coming years. And so that is the story of the chickadee and the owl. It's a little dark, but I'm going to share the chickadee song. I'm also trying to write some more songs, so I got an amazing book, so I borrowed it. This is Kismet. I borrowed it from an elder, and she's kind of teaching me some Cree. And then, well, I was thinking about her and how I should probably return her book because I've had it for a month. And then yesterday I was gifted the exact same book. So I was so thankful. And I always say everything happens for a reason. But yes, it's a gift to be able to learn your language. It's tough, but it's a gift. And so this is the Chickadee Song. Usually I sing it with children as a call and response. Oops. I don't know what's going on here. It's my mom. All right. Usually I sing it as a call and response. So I say, up the ho ho, and then the kids will say, up the ho ho. But I'm going to actually sing it all the way through. So this is the Chickadee Song. Up the ho ho ho, 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 up the ho ho ho. Way ah ho, way ah ho, way ah ho, way ah ho. Way ah ho, way ah ho, way ah ho, way ah ho. Up the ho ho ho, 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 up the ho ho ho. Way ah ho, 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 way ah ho. Up the ho ho ho, 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 up the ho ho ho. Way ah ho, 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 way ah ho. Up the ho ho ho, 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 up the ho ho ho. Way ah ho, way ah ho, way ah ho, way ah ho, way ah ho. Way ah ho, way ah ho, way ah ho. Up the ho ho ho, 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 up the ho ho ho. Awesome. And so the last song that I want to share, this is oh, actually, I'm going to share two more. As I've been thinking a lot about the Thunderbird. So I'm definitely going to share her tonight. And then I'm going to close with the traveling song because it's such a gift. So to me, the Thunderbird is that force, that, fate or destiny, that thing that pushes us forward in a good way. And so, I don't know what's happening upstairs. It's loud. But yeah, so it teaches us that, everything on our path, it unfolds for a reason, it unfolds for a purpose, and we have a choice with what we want to see and what we want to learn from those experiences and those events. And even some of the, hardest things that we've gone through have actually made us the most beautiful and strong people that we are today. And so it reminds us that every moment has its purpose. Every person, whether they have a profound positive or negative impact in our lives, they have a purpose. And so, yeah, this is the Thunderbird song. Kichima place, oh, money to Kichiwai no. Way hey hey yo, way hey yo, way hi yo. Kichima place, oh, money to Kichiwai no. Way hey yo, way hey yo, way hi yo. Kichima place, oh, money to Kichiwai no. Way hey yo, way hey yo, way hi yo. Kichima place, oh, money to Kichiwai no. Way hey yo, way hey yo, way hi yo. I love that song. It just makes me happy, because it really has brought me through so many dark times in my life. So, you know, whether it be reclaiming my culture, which has been a huge part of my journey, but, you know, getting hit by a truck, like that was a huge part of my journey as well. But even though it sucked getting hit by a truck and I couldn't walk for a month and a half, and it really showed me who my true friends were, which was really important. It brought about an end to a very toxic relationship. So that was really good. It was a good thing, because of course we would probably still be involved with that person had that accident not happened. It was really eye-opening, but also, you know, even though I went through all of those physical pains and all those traumas and all the surgeries, it put me exactly where I needed to be. Had I not been hit by that truck, I wouldn't you know, have been involved with Idle No More. I wouldn't have been comfortable, you know, sharing my drumming and my singing and my storytelling and all of those wonderful teachings and workshops that I've had the opportunity to do over the years, had it not been for that accident, putting me on the right path, putting me where I needed to be. And so it was such a gift. Even though, yeah, it sucked, but it was for a reason. And so now I look back and I'm thankful. I'm thankful, even though, yeah, it was awful. I'm so thankful. And I live with so much gratitude now, because to see where I've come even in the last decade, it's humbling. And I'm so thankful for where I am now. And so, on that note, I'm going to share the traveling song to remind us that all roads lead to home, because home is where we make it. It teaches us that our path is never set in stone, but we'll end up exactly where we need to go. And it's the journey and what we learn on that journey. That's what's so special. And yeah, so this is the traveling song. And I thank my elder Sharon Turner, and I honor her with this song. And I thank Yolanda and Ashley for sharing this with me again, because I thought it was gone, but it came home. So this is the traveling song. Awesome. Hi everyone. Shima thank you so much for joining me again for another fabulous Tuesday. I'm wondering if all the text messages that I got today was because it wasn't broadcasting on Facebook. So no worries though. I'm going to just copy the video and I'm going to share it on Facebook because I know it is on YouTube. So hi everyone. Thank you again for sharing the week with me. And I will see you again next week. Miigwech and hi.